The Midnight Discovery, Anatomy of a Digital Investigation. Let's just dive right into this explainer, shall we? Today, we're breaking down how modern digital forensics rapidly dismantled a totally shocking alleged familial cover-up. We're looking at a case that started with a young couple, hit a fork in the road of their relationship, and ended in an unthinkable tragedy. But you know what makes this investigation truly unique? It's not just the crime itself, but the immediate, almost clinical, and ultimately failed attempt to hide it. We're going to trace the exact digital and physical footprints that law enforcement used to piece this whole puzzle together in a matter of hours. What would you do if your child committed the unthinkable? It's a terrifying moral dilemma, right? Probably the ultimate nightmare for literally any parent. Imagine finding out your child has committed a crime that could put them behind bars for the rest of their life. The right thing to do is to turn them in. But as we're about to see, that is definitely not the path that was chosen here. We're going to look at a true case where a mother's alleged answer to this very question led to her own arrest, turning a homicide investigation into this incredibly complex web of complicity. "I'm sorry that my son took a life." That's a quote from Rachel Moser. This spontaneous utterance was actually captured by the media during her perp walk as she was being led to a police cruiser in western Pennsylvania, and it immediately sets the intense stakes of this whole investigation. I mean, it is a stunning admission caught right on camera. According to retired NYPD detective David Sarney, statements like this are just incredibly damning. But how on earth did law enforcement get to the point of arresting both a teenage boy and his mother so incredibly quickly? Well, the answer lies in the technology that surrounds us every single day. 12 o'clock, midnight. The unraveling of this entire cover-up began right on the dot at midnight. Caroline Hines, an 18-year-old girl who was supposed to be heading back to her college dorm after a quick run to Target, just wasn't answering her phone. Her father, acting on that typical, parental instinct, checked the location of an Apple AirTag she had with her. And that single digital ping at midnight, that is the absolute pivot point of this entire case. The suspects allegedly tried to meticulously clean up a crime scene, but they completely failed to account for a tiny little trekker pinging a satellite from the dark. 100 Wood Street, California, PA, the public library. That AirTag let her father's search straight to this exact location. It's a public library located right near the Pennsylvania Western University campus where Caroline was a student. Because he couldn't reach her, Caroline's father did what anyone would do and called the police. This prompted a wellness check, which tragically led to a 2 a.m. police discovery of her body hidden in the back hatch of her own car, just abandoned in this highly public parking lot. Rewinding the timeline, a heart-to-heart turns deadly. To really wrap our heads around how we got to that grim midnight discovery, we need to go back to the beginning of the evening and piece together the timeline of what actually happened. Police say the night started normally enough at a family party at the home of the suspect's father. But as the evening wore on, what was supposed to be a regular heart-to-heart conversation between two young people rapidly deteriorated. When we look at the two individuals involved, their lives were honestly heading in completely opposite directions. On one side, we have 18-year-old Caroline Hines. She was a budding college soccer star, starting this exciting new chapter at Pennsylvania Western University, just a really bright future ahead of her. And on the other side is her boyfriend of 4 months, 18-year-old Royce Moser. According to reports, his life was heading in a very different direction. He wasn't attending the same school, and, as anyone who has been a teenager knows, this transition to college is often a major fork in the road for relationships. Police suggest a breakup may have been imminent here. Look at how incredibly fast events escalated on Thursday, August 20th. At 9:30 p.m., Caroline leaves her family home, tells her dad she's running to Target and then to her dorm. She swings by the house where Royce is. Fast forward to 11:30 p.m., they're having a conversation in her car outside the house that police say goes south. By 12 a.m., her AirTag pings at the library. And by 2 a.m., police make their tragic discovery. Just think about that for a second. That incredibly tight window of just a few hours is where a young life ended and a desperate cover-up began. "I have something for you." According to the criminal complaint, when the conversation went south and Caroline said something Royce didn't like, he allegedly uttered this absolutely chilling phrase to her: "I have something for you." Police say Royce then got out of the car, walked all the way into his father's house, retrieved a large kitchen knife, walked back outside to the car, and allegedly stabbed Caroline in the chest. The victim was stabbed in the chest, fell out of the vehicle, and was placed in the back hatch. Following the stabbing, Caroline reportedly fell out of the vehicle and onto the ground. Now, rather than calling 911 to get help for her girlfriend, police say Royce picked her up, loaded her into the back hatch of her own car, and then made a phone call. But
he didn't call the authorities. According to the complaint, he called his mother, Rachel Moser. He admitted he had stabbed his girlfriend with a kitchen knife, and he asked for her help. The anatomy of a cover-up. When confronted with the horrifying reality that her son had just committed this brutal act, police say Rachel Moser didn't call the authorities either. Instead, she allegedly invited him to her home in Bethelville, Pennsylvania, and initiated a very methodical process to destroy evidence. According to the criminal complaint, she guided him through these very clinical steps. Step 1, she provided him with disinfectant spray and blue latex gloves to clean the car inside her garage. From there, step 2, she had him follow her in tandem to abandon the vehicle at the public library near the university. For step 3, once back at her house, she instructed him to take a bath, then a shower, and change his clothes. And finally, step 4, she allegedly took the murder weapon, the knife, put it in a garbage bag outside, and threw his clothes right into the washing machine.
Digital and physical footprints. I mean, it literally reads like a checklist from a crime drama, right? But in reality, their attempts to hide the crime were immediately thwarted by a massive trail of evidence. They completely failed to account for modern technology. Not only was there the victim's Apple AirTag broadcasting the car's location, but leaving a vehicle in a public university area meant they were caught on multiple surveillance cameras. The footage clearly shows Royce driving Caroline's car, following a vehicle registered to and driven by his mother, Rachel. And incredibly, no joke, the video captured both of them actually wearing those blue latex gloves while driving. I was cleaning up dog droppings before and decided to keep the gloves on. When police brought Rachel in for questioning just hours later, they specifically asked her about those blue latex gloves seen on the surveillance video, and she offered this highly suspect explanation to investigators. She claimed she had been cleaning up dog droppings earlier and simply decided to keep the gloves on while driving. It's a statement that investigators found, well, very difficult to believe, especially when layered on top of all the other evidence they were rapidly gathering. Unraveling the defense, expert analysis. To really understand the gravity of the case law enforcement managed to build in just a few short hours, we turn to the analysis of retired NYPD detective David Sarney. He looks at exactly how this physical and testimonial evidence is going to play out in a courtroom. Let's compare the claim versus the facts. During his interrogation, Royce allegedly claimed that when Caroline said something he didn't like, demons took over, which kind of implies a lack of control, or perhaps a heat of passion defense. But Detective Sarney points out that the timeline of facts completely destroys this claim, saying, "I have something for you," physically exiting the vehicle, walking into a house to retrieve a weapon, and then returning to the car. That shows clear intent and premeditation. This wasn't a case of seeing red in a split second. He had time to think, retrieve a weapon, and carry out the act. Spontaneous utterance. Sarney also notes the incredible legal weight of Rachel's apology to the media. A spontaneous utterance is basically an unplanned statement made by a suspect, often used as powerful unmirandized evidence in court. Because it was blurted out to reporters and not during a formal police interrogation, no Miranda rights are necessary for it to be admissible. By stating, "I'm sorry my son took a life," she essentially confirmed her awareness of the murder right then and there. It makes it nearly impossible for her defense team to later claim she was just, cleaning a car without knowing a homicide had actually occurred. Trace evidence. We're talking grass on the body, blood in the vehicle, water, and washing machine residue. Detective Sarney emphasizes that rushed cover-ups practically always fail because of trace evidence like this. You just can't wash a brutal crime away with a shower and some disinfectant spray. Investigators noted that in their sheer panic, they didn't even brush the grass off Caroline's body after she fell out of the car before shoving her into the hatch. Furthermore, he sat in her blood to drive the car to the library. Sarney points out that search warrants will target the mother's washing machine, the drains, the vehicle itself, and that microscopic evidence left behind. It's often more than enough to secure a conviction. Accountability for mother and son. So, what does this all mean for them? We are looking at two adults who made entirely different yet equally devastating choices on the night of August 20th. There is a massive divide in accountability here, as you'd expect. 18-year-old Royce faces the absolute heaviest penalty, homicide, alongside abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and obstruction. Meanwhile, Rachel, the parent who actively chose to shield her son rather than report him, faces very serious felonies for her alleged role, hindering the apprehension of a fugitive, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. While she didn't commit the murder itself, her active participation in the aftermath makes her deeply legally culpable.
When familial loyalty crosses into criminal complicity, where does the truth finally hide? As we wrap up this explainer, we're left staring at a deeply unsettling reality. This case leaves us with a provocative final thought. When a parent chooses a desperate, calculated cover-up over doing the right thing, they aren't actually saving their child. The truth always finds a way out, right? Whether it's through an AirTag ping or trace evidence trapped in a washing machine. And the most tragic reality of all is that when familial loyalty crosses the line into criminal complicity, it is ultimately the victim's family who pays the ultimate devastating price.